Hello Factorio people, welcome back to the broadcast from Space Age. Semi-streamlined playthrough, let's play of Factorio Space Age. Last time we got Aquilo done in modest numbers, so we're going to head back to Nauvis today and finish up the Nauvisian science packs in 10,000 science per minute numbers. If you want to do the old like, comment, subscribe for me, that would be great. Ah, baby Spidertrons, the secret baby Spidertrons. Usually they're behind the menu, right? But I drag the menu out of the way for cinematic purposes. Alright, let's jump straight into it, shall we? Okay, we're leaving Aquilo, we're just making one small change before we go. We're going to upgrade these heating towers to legendary heating towers so that they burn through the solid fuel a bit faster. So this solid fuel will basically just be going to waste because ice is bottlenecked by ammonia. So we need to make ammonia. We need ammonia for other things, of course, but we need ice for the other things as well. And if ammonia is full, then we don't get any more ice. So we just make solid fuel from ammonia and crude oil, burn it in these legendary heating towers. So the legendary heating towers just have a higher constant consumption, so they burn through things more frequently. And these are just set to a circuit condition. If we've got a lot of ammonia, we can afford to burn. And it's possible that maybe we don't need these heating towers over here anymore. These are going to get very hot very quickly. Should cause the whole system to be very warm, but it's fine. It's fine. Alright, we're going back to Nauvis today. Let's set off. We're going back to Nauvis. What's going on Nauvis? Not much. Labs, science. Ah yes, the new Bronze Star is in the middle of being built as well, so we can get space science, legendary space science done a bit better. So on Nauvis today, the main focuses are going to be utility science and military science. Because I want to research certain things like laser weapon damage, physical projectile damage, you know, to bolster the space platforms. Asteroid productivity, we've not done any asteroid productivity in a little while, and I want to do a couple of levels of that, but we don't have yellow science coming in anywhere. So I want to get all the Nauvisian sciences done. So let's travel back to Nauvis and make a start on that. Okay, Bronze Star 2 is wide, like all the other ones are wide. This makes a lot of legendary science per minute. I made a small error here, and I scaled it for 10,000 science per minute and then forgot that it was legendary, but it's still so cheap. Like, it's so cheap. The real bottleneck is just getting the ice in, but that's also why I want to do more levels of asteroid productivity when we can. So you can just, yeah, this is working alright. You can just go backwards and forwards between Vulcanus and get legendary stuff. Like, it doesn't actually make... It never actually hits capacity, but because it's legendary, it only needs to be a sixth. But this is also future-proofed for if and when we do the other sciences in legendary. So, the other thing, seeing as we spent so long on Aquilo, we've spent a long time farming more legendary biolabs, so I've put the extra biolabs in. I bit the bullet and just upgraded all the belts to green. It was a silly idea. It was a silly idea. And then it just turns around and goes back up. So in theory, this can consume 6,700 of the science packs per minute. So this still is not going to keep up with production, but of course Gleben science does not come in that fast. This is interesting. So I've balanced this belt, but then I also want to sideload this belt evenly onto a green belt. So how is this happening? How's he managed this? Because usually, of course, if you do this system, it would just go from the top. It's very simple. It's just a single red belt. So this slows this belt down to half speed, effectively, making this 30 items a second, and then when it hits this green belt, it goes back up to 60 items per second, but on half a belt, which is 30. So this single red belt here keeps this all balanced and makes sure that for the other sciences it doesn't matter, right? Like, they're not going to spoil, whereas we want this. This could all be red belts as well. That would also work, but I just thought one little red belt here would be cool. Some heating towers here to pull off the spoilage on any spoilage on the belt, and then the spoilage belt goes through. Of course, I dragged the upgrade planner over this, didn't I? So it broke the whole bloody thing. But it's fine. It's fine. So this, if we do a Nalvesian science and not a Gleben science, can do about 67,000 at its peak. Which is pretty cool. My main worry at the moment is cargo landing pad throughput. But, you know, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And we should turn back on legendary production modules now that we've got enough biolabs, just to kickstart this process going again. Alright, so we want military science and we want utility science. So let's look at the best way of achieving that. This would be your 10,000, 9,675, which would need quite a lot of walls. Quite a lot of walls. You may remember that I plugged stone in over here and made some of it into bricks. It occurred to me at this point that to make that many bricks into 2 belts of walls would be quite difficult. It would take a lot of trains bringing in stone/bricks. So what I've elected to do is actually just make the... Where are you going? Where are you going? I thought you were over here, mate. Is to make the bricks on site and ship the bricks. So this makes 2.5 transport belts of walls, which is about what we needed. Was that about what we needed? It's a little bit more than what we needed. But you can still see the sheer amount of stone that is going through and the sheer amount of bricks that is going through. Like, this doesn't even keep up with this amount of bricks. So we'll just make the walls in a module, right? We don't need the stone for much else on Nalvis, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, rails we don't need in vast quantities because we're making legendary science on legendary purple science on Vulcanus, and then landfill, whatever. And bricks don't go into anything that we need for science beyond the walls. So we may as well just do it like this. We may as well just do it like this, in my opinion. So that's neat. This took me a bit longer than it should have done, because also, around this time, I had to do the whole thing again, had to roll back my save, because I sent the asteroid farming ships off. I clicked this back to automatic. What I didn't do is I didn't do this. I didn't put the requests back on. So I turned the requests off when they were just hovering around Nalvis, because they were just asking for biter eggs that they had nothing to do. They couldn't do anything with them for like hours and hours and hours. So then when I turned them back on, I forgot to turn this back on. So the ships have gone very, very, very far away without any more fuel. And thankfully the railguns don't need power. Don't know how these laser turrets are still working. These must need power, right? Yeah, they do, but just, yeah. So eventually, this all just stops being able to keep up, and it's a very, very far adrift away from the, anywhere that, yep, there it goes, it's happening, it's happening. Oh god. It's a disaster, it's an absolute disaster. So, I made the cowardly choice to just roll back the save and just re-put in the walls build earlier, because this is extremely annoying. I didn't want to sit here and wait for the ship to blow up. I didn't want to lose everything on the ship. There's no guarantee that it even blows up in good time, you know. I could call it a write-off, fine, whatever. Like this big asteroid is gonna surely make its way to the space platform hub. I suppose I could just do this. I suppose I could have just done that and gotten rid of all the alerts, but I decided to be a bit of a coward and re-roll back the save. Just because it was a very, very silly mistake. A very avoidable mistake. You could call that save scumming. It literally is save scumming, but you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm being honest in telling you, at least. I could have just ignored that it ever happened. So there we go. I'll meet you in the middle, shall we? It's around here in the designing of the military science that I realised that I maybe should have also done this in legendary quality and shipped this in from Vulcanus as well, because even though the ingredients are relatively simple from raw, what's that? Iron, copper, steel, coal, iron, stone. It needs a hell of a lot of it. So I put the ammo in okay. The ammo's fine. It doesn't use this much iron. This iron plant is vastly overscaled for just this. It's also then the bloody grenades as well. So I've actually built the grenade thing over here, and I'm going to use this coal patch and with legendary miners and just hope that this never ever ever runs out, because this also needs quite a silly amount of iron and coal to make the grenades, because you can't prod module grenades. This is the main problem with military science, is you can't prod module anything that goes into it. So you lose all that nested productivity bonus. So this will make 61 grenades per second, which is 2/3 more than what we need, but obviously I wanted, like, one module wasn't enough, so I doubled it up and made it all nice and symmetrical and stuff. And this coal patch should last forever, because we're on mining productivity 121, and each individual level of that only takes about 2 minutes to research, so we could easily get this up to 200, 300 without much stress. It's just I'm mostly just researching other science packs in the interim, even though they're not keeping up either. So I'll bring molten iron in, plug the grenades in, and then that should be military science done. It wasn't. I should have done it on Vulcanus. I really should have done it on Vulcanus. The only problem with doing it on Vulcanus I can see is that we're very, very much beholden to legendary calcite to get legendary stone. Our legendary calcite is doable on Bronze Star at about 53 per minute for the last hour that this has been doing its thing. And that's really as much as it can do. This would take 483 per minute if it ran at full tilt, which thankfully it doesn't really need to, because it would outputs more than one full stacked belt of legendary stone. And then this whole system here uses just about half of that. It's like, well, yeah, because it's also got to turn some of that stone into legendary bricks. The other thing we could think about doing, I suppose, is now that we have huge amounts of mining productivity, we could maybe take one of these calcite patches and upcycle it. Because we could build quite a large upcycling system here. Like, we know that this works. It's not especially fast. What is it? Tungsten. 4.2 per minute over the last hour. Very much about 4.2 over the last 10 hours. 4.10. We did this ages ago. So yeah, this does about 4 per minute. So we could scale this up hugely, right? We could do something absolutely absurd over here with this big calcite patch, or maybe even this 103 million one with the legendary miners. So that's something to put on the to-do list. We won't do that. We won't do that today, but that's something to at least think about. Maybe we can do legendary calcite faster on Vulcanus than we can do in space. I mean, this is going okay, and of course the production tab is... There are these dips here, right, where it doesn't actually... It's not needing as much calcite as it's producing. Like, at its peak it can do 60, 70. It is very RNG heavy. More asteroid productivity will help. There is a lot of dead space here as well. We could even upcycle more asteroids. Could redesign this, put modules in maybe. Also doesn't seem very efficient on the blue side, does it? Maybe we should make this process more rare quality, but fewer common quality. Anyway, something to think about. Something to think about. So I wish I'd done military science on Vulcanus. Basically, is the end result of this. But whatever, we've done it now. We've done it now. It is what it is. Eggs is eggs, as we say on this channel. Alright, that's 10,000 military science per minute. It's okay. Does what it says on the tin, I suppose. This is a bit ugly, but what are you going to do, eh? The fact that I've had to, like, output... Because this uses more than half a belt of ammo. Ever so slightly more than half a belt of ammo, so we can't... It has to be stacked. But it only needs to be stacked by, like... We could even get away with this just being 8. And that would still work. Why have you stopped? Copper. Molten copper? What? Okay. I hadn't actually noticed that before. There is only one of these trains compared with the iron ones, which have 2 or 3 on the system. Ignore the voice crack there. So we should probably add some more of this. I didn't notice that actually during my testing. I thought this was fine. It might have just been that the copper train needed to go to 2 places at once at that exact moment, because this doesn't use that much, does it? It uses about 1 wagon a minute, so this would take about... but this is overscaled as well. No, it's not, it's underscaled. Oh, this is underscaled per second very, very slightly, but the ammo itself is overscaled. That's right, this only needs 40, whereas this makes 45, so it should balance out. So I will add another copper train to the system. That should fix it. It was just bad luck with this copper train needing to go to 2 places at once, because obviously a lot of things are working at the moment now. A lot of things are working. Right, okay, so that was military science. I really wish I'd done it on bloody Vulcanus, but what can you do, eh? What can you do? We can't use it, though. This is the sad part. There is no military science pack that doesn't also need yellow science. You know, there's nothing that we can just use to just sort of test the capacity of it. This needs yellow. Physical projectile also needs yellow. Follower robot needs yellow as well. Artillery shell range needs yellow. Yep. Yep. Even the health one needs yellow. This needs yellow, but not military, obviously, because it's just asteroid productivity. This needs all of the Navi sciences. So anywhere that you need military, you also need utility science, which seems like a bit of an oversight to me. I'm not sure if that's true, actually, in... it's obviously not true in the regular tech tree, but there are no infinite sciences that need military but not utility science, which, fine, it is what it is. So, let's look at utility science. Utility science should, in theory, be a bit easier than this. We need processing units, flying robot frames, low density structures. We don't have processing units being made anywhere, but we've got everything else. Red, green, and sulfuric acid. Flying robot frames will need a bit of work because we don't have batteries, we don't have electric engine units, and low density structures will be easy, because we grinded up to 300% low density productivity. So, let's crack on. Alright, this is half of what you need. You need 2 of this to make the 10,000. That's 53 processing units a second, which is not that bad really when you consider the built-in productivity bonus and the EM plant productivity bonus. Mining productivity 128. Quick, queue up a whole bunch more before the science chart dips down. Why is it not going back up? Ah, it's fine. Green circuit throughput is a problem in this build. This needs... not fluids. This needs almost 1 train per minute. Almost. And currently what we're doing is we're just doing this. Okay, don't know what you did there. So we really need to... that's green science. We really need to... that's red science. We really need to change this to be a depot. We want more than 1 train. And this makes absolutely loads. This makes so many. And it also is not even doing it properly because I can't output the green circuits fast enough. I need legendary stack inserters, which I am working on. Oh, not in this iteration of the save file, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to upcycle tool belt equipment, because this is relatively inexpensive in terms of wasting other things. Like carbon fiber goes into quantum processors. I was going to upcycle quantum processors at one point, but I've not done it now. I'm not upcycling stack inserters themselves because that needs the jelly. Rocket turrets, maybe. Railgun turrets, obviously not. So toolbelt equipment just seemed like a nice easy thing to do. We're making red circuits on Gleba anyway as part of this absolute ridiculous capture bot rocket upcycling, which I still don't understand why I spent so long doing it. Still not quite sure what I was thinking there on that one, but whatever, it's done now. So this is stockpiling advanced circuit, so we can upcycle the toolbelt equipment to get some legendary carbon fibre, which will help us get legendary stack inserters, which currently the only need for them is here. And I could probably just get away with rare ones or better, to be honest with you. I mean, let's do our editor check, and also just quickly test this. What am I doing? Entities. Uncommon stack inserters. Still not quite good enough. Rare stack inserters. That's a bit better. So loud, sorry. It doesn't need to go full tilt because it can't actually output onto a green belt by itself. And then this just needs to be... This makes enough copper cable, it's just moving it into the... yeah, there we go, alright, we've hit the limit now. This should be almost fully compressed, almost. So this will make enough of the circuits, it's just the circuit throughput. So we need to turn this into a depot, basically. We need to have a long-term plan for getting better stack inserters, but that's fine. And then that should be processing units sorted for a little bit. Of course, the other option is to just double this up, but it doesn't seem hugely necessary. As I say, like, this is such a silly amount of green circuits at the moment, and it's been working fairly well up until this point. 16.67 belts, and this build is requiring... well, it's requiring about half of them. There's a case to be made for just bringing in the molten iron and copper and making the green circuits on site. It's on site! Just making them on site, but the other thing to remember is that you don't need that many processing units in Space Age anymore. Like, this makes 84 per second. This build will require 53 of them. And then processing units go into a lot of things, of course they do, but actual relevant stuff that you need to just be consistently pumping out. Obviously rocket components, like obviously, but rockets will become so cheap eventually. I mean, they're already fairly cheap now. One processing unit into a quantum processor, so fine, whatever. They mostly just go into mauled stuff now. Now they don't need to go into rocket control units, which then need to go into the rocket. The requirement for them has dipped quite a lot in Space Age. So I think we'll get away with this. We'll just turn this into a depot. Alright, so that's processing units done. Done the easy bit first. We need to do flying robot frames next, which means we need batteries and electric engine units. Alright, I've designed the module that will make the flying robot frames. At least this is all you need. All you need. 31 per second this makes. Doesn't need that much steel, thankfully, so we can just bring steel in with molten iron. Electric engine units we need to do. Green circuits is done. Batteries are obviously not too difficult, especially because we've got all the liquids. You know, this is a fully liquid only recipe. Molten iron into iron plates, molten copper into copper plates, iron plates, and sulfuric acid into batteries. And we'll do that in a cryogenic plant because we can fill these with 200% productivity, which is nice. So loud. Sorry, I'm just going to take a bit of my tea. Ah, yes. Lo-fi Factorio, that's what you're here for. We've expanded the... I've made a note about this, but I've already spoken about it, thank you. Expanded the grid section. The Spidertron robots don't quite keep up with big jobs like this. I really thought that they would. Hello? Oh, that's my Roboport range. I thought that was my landfill ghost. There we go. The Spidertrons really don't... If they have to do a really big job, like this, well, like this, basically, as soon as they run out of battery, it becomes a real problem. Because... If they've got the battery power, it's fine, right? As soon as these die, it's a huge issue. Because these are legendary personal roboports, so they can consume 22.5 megawatts at a time. These are only common personal batteries, so as soon as these run out, the roboports have a real problem charging the robots, because this can only output 750 kilowatts at a time, which is fine for when you're just using it to slowly charge batteries and you give the robots a small job every now and then, or even a modest job every now and then. But if you give them a very large job to the point where all the batteries die, it takes forever to get the roboports charged up again. Alright, cool your jets, cool your jets. This can be alleviated by making these legendary, which is doable. The other option is, of course, making legendary Spidertrons themselves, because that will give you a bigger equipment grid, but that requires legendary rocket turrets, which are a bit beyond our reach at the moment. Everything else is fine. Some fish upcycling, which can't be bothered to deal with at the moment. So it's okay for now. It's okay for now. It's just something to be a bit aware of. If the batteries die, this is down for like at least 20 minutes. Very frustrating. Okay. So that's batteries done. Engine units we already make, because engine units go into blue science. We just need to turn those into electric engine units, which should be fine. Why you can't make electric engine units in an EM plant is beyond me, but fair enough. It's probably a balance thing. It's probably a balance thing. Oh, I really need to fix this. This bloody rocket turret in the middle, which defends the middle of the ship, is only sourced by me taking rockets out of these turrets so that they go into the hub, and then I'll fire this into inserter. One of the things on the extreme later base is better shuttles. You know, we know that this works, but this is like my mid-game shuttle. This works from like the off, with barely any research of gun turret levels, missile damage levels, or anything. This is nice. We know that this works very well. We could repurpose this design for all of the shuttles, because also this is very fast. This hasn't been stress tested properly in terms of like going backwards and forwards very fast. But I would like to change these designs to these designs, because this is extremely quick as well. This can go from Nauvis to Vulcanus very, very fast. Look at it go! Probably could go even faster, really. But that's really far down the line. That, well, it's not that far down the line, but it could be. It could be far further down the line. Especially if we get some more levels of laser weapon damage, and then we can feel even more confident in using just lasers to destroy the smaller asteroid chunks, at least. Because they're not very good at destroying these medium ones, as you can see. They're actually pretty poor at destroying the medium ones. But the missiles are doing a very good job about that. Anyway, okay, alright, okay, fine. Fine, let's move on. I needed a break. I needed a little break from the factory. I played a lot of factory yesterday, trying to get this science done before I needed to record this video today. Plus I really didn't want to play any more Mahjong. Me and Mahjong, we're not friends at the moment. Just between you and me. Alright, don't tell the Mahjong people on the other half of the channel. Don't tell them. Me and Mahjong at the moment, it's not it. It's not it. Very mentally straining game. Anyway, as I was putting the grid sections down, I noticed that this lake was very nicely contained within this. So I got some fish to turn into nutrients, and wood into seeds is like extremely efficient, man. Like, this is crazy. 7.05 wood makes 8.82 seeds because of the 150% productivity. Usually you get 1 seed for every 2 wood. But because we've got 150% productivity, we're getting 2.5 seeds for every 2 wood. And then you get 4 wood from a tree. A fully grown tree, at least. So this is crazy. Which has given me a really stupid idea for a future playthrough. A really stupid idea. Which I'm not sure really works, because you would need to get all the way to legendary productivity modules and stuff, but you could power your entire factory with tree seeds. Could you not? They have an absolutely atrocious fuel value compared to the wood. So maybe not the seeds, maybe the wood. You could fuel your entire factory with wood, right? You could have agricultural towers going mental on this. You could also use this to fully contain your pollution cloud. Like, you could just have a humongous wall of agricultural towers doing planting trees, turning those trees into seeds, replanting the seeds, and then having a net positive of seeds, which you would have to do with something, and a net positive of wood. Huge net positive of wood. So that's something to think about in the future, a ridiculous challenge run like that. I don't know how you would start that. Maybe you could mod the game or cheat in the technology for the agricultural tower just on its own. Give yourself some agricultural towers early in the game. But you'd also need to somehow... You can do the seed recipe in an assembler. So maybe you would just give yourself this tech. And this tech, because you can do, yeah, you can do wood processing in an assembler, so you don't actually need nutrients for this. You can kind of see where I was doing this with the mouse. This isn't fully dense yet, but as I say, tree seed. This was a small. I just did this just for a tiny bit of fun and relaxation. It looks nice, doesn't it? It looks nice. So this is going to stay. This grid section will be the park forever. Yes, I've spoken about that. Thank you. Electric circuit depot is in. You can see that that problem is solved now. mostly because processing units are backed up. It's fine, it's fine. We won't know for sure until everything is turned on for real. Mining productivity 136. Every now and then I just do a plastic bar and a rocket part productivity just to clear through some of the backlog of Gleben science, and obviously the Aquilo science is going backwards and forwards still. Slowly, but it is. Just do that basically. Okay, that was a nice little break. Ah, a train! You can't get hit by a train with mech armor. Yeah. Alright, that was a nice little break. Let's get back to work, shall we? Let's get back to bloody work. Alright, the Spidertrons have their legendary fission reactors in. These are not very expensive, to be fair. 4 uranium fuel cells. Oh, how do I get legendary uranium fuel cells? Very easily. Legendary iron, 1 legendary uranium, which we have, and we've been upcycling uranium 238. So this was not too difficult. I just had to bring in some legendary iron from Vulcanus, and that was all fine. Yeah, Vulcanus is fine. This is definitely causing a problem. Like, the reason I noticed that before is because I realised that eventually this just backs up with blues. So this definitely needs a for real tweak. Like, these numbers aren't quite right. The other thing I could do is I could actually speed beacon the rare ones, but actually I could do that quite easily, couldn't I? Didn't realise that before. Just move this belt. No, I can't do that because of the quality. Putting speed beacons down lowers the quality. Yes, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. Ah! Is that the problem? Also, why are you going on the far belt? What on earth? Why was that a long-handed inserter? This needs a tweak, basically. It works 90% of the time. Like, the others are fine. But I feel like it's because the others don't go backwards and forwards anywhere near as often, because this goes backwards and forwards quite a lot. It's processing quite a lot of asteroids, and this ridiculous thing here that should, in theory, only put the high-quality ones on the top of the belt. This is what causes it to break, because you'd think that the top of the belt wouldn't actually have this many asteroids on it, but it does. So then eventually every single one of these gets full with something in the output. So this isn't 100% foolproof. We may have to redesign it so that it goes in stages, right? So that it goes commons and then outputs the uncommons to a separate layer, so that if this layer gets full and this can't output any, that doesn't cause like literally everything else to break. It's probably a good reason why people don't do it in a straight line like this, but anyway, again, that's something. Stick it on the later base. Stick it on the bloody later base. Electric engine units are in. Where did I build those? Don't talk to me about this grenade station. Don't talk to me about it. I don't want to hear it from you. Yeah, especially. Where did I put the electric engines? Over here! Excuse me? This doesn't need to be stacked, right? No, nowhere near. Nowhere near requiring to be stacked. Must have just missed that somehow. It's sad that this is all the electric engine units you end up needing. It's a very complicated supply chain, but everything is in quite small sections, right? Like some batteries for robot frames, some electric engines for robot frames. So you need 15 a second. But because each one of them needs quite a lot of different ingredients that don't overlap, so like the green circuits overlap. You could make engines from just this molten iron. But then you would still have to bring in the lubricant anyway. So you would have to also add lubricant to this. But then you could take away the electric engine unit station. So maybe I should have done it like that. But you do also want electric engine units in a train because you want to send those to an eventual mall to make these items. But then maybe you'd want to make these items in legendary qualities, so maybe not. Maybe I should have thought about that, but that'd be interesting. That'd be interesting all-in-one build for that, actually. But then if you bring in the batteries in as well, you can make you need to bring in sulfuric acid and molten copper to also make the batteries. I think this is fine. It's the kind of thing that you may as well just do it like this to lower the throughput, because this will need... Yeah, this engine unit train will only have to run like once every 8 minutes. Whereas if you were also bringing in molten iron to make engines, it might make this station a bit too busy. So that's also another consideration. Okay. Alright, good. Off you go. I'm sure there's at least one train where I've forgotten to add the refueling interrupt. I tried to use the groups, but the groups don't work how I thought they would. Any changes made to this schedule will be applied to all trains in the train group, ignoring any temporary stops. Which is not what I want to happen. I kind of thought the groups, you might be able to say groups, and then just only apply the interrupt to it. But then I'd still have to remember to add the train to a group. But what, you know, like, at least in this, you can see which trains are in a group and not in a group. So, like this one isn't actually part of the Megabase group. And if I added trains to a Megabase group, then if I changed one condition on any one of the trains for some reason, then that changes all of them. This is also very irritating to check each individual one, because, yeah, look, there's one, for example. I'm going to just basically leave it, and when a train says I've got no fuel, then I'll fix that manually. Which is not the best way to do it, of course. I might not be on the planet, but I can get the Spidertrons to deliver some fuel. Right. Electric engine units into robot frames. Why are you not working? Batteries. Oh, I was going to hook the batteries up as part of the showing offness. How do I want this to work? Like this, I suppose. The red belt trick doesn't work as well when they're in stacks that are not being used properly, right? So because this is using only slightly more than half a belt, they need to be in stacks. But because of the way any non-stack inserter just takes like a couple off the top, this doesn't constantly drain, so this red belt trick doesn't work as well, but that's fine. As long as it's balanced here, it will pull from the chests evenly. It will just be unbalanced from here to here if it ever runs dry, which it shouldn't, because it uses such a vanishingly small number of batteries. Robot frames! Yay! Okay, right. Robot frames done. Low density structures is the final thing we need for this. And when I started, I thought this would be easy. Low density structures, molten copper, molten iron. Plastic. Boom. Easy. Easy life. Didn't go as smoothly as that, folks. What problem does LDS usually cause in your base? Usually it causes a problem with your steel. Usually it starts sucking up all the steel. But it also actually needs quite a lot of copper. So I thought, oh, I'll bring in molten copper. That will be alright. It needs... To make the number of low density structures that you would need 10 wagons of liquid molten copper every minute. That's too many. That's too many. Okay, I'll make the copper, molten copper, on site. It's on site. This needs 500,000 a minute. Let's do 8,600 a second. This makes way more than that. This is just the same design from the other part of it. This needs 14,000, so this is about 50% overscaled, so this needs 17 wagons of copper ore per minute to run, but it doesn't need quite all of that. Either way, you're going to bring in a lot of one or the other. Unfortunately. I elected to at least do it like this, because this was slightly fewer wagons of copper ore once everything is, you know, actually up and running. It's still not really brilliant. If I'd have realised at the time quite how hungry this was, I would have done it. I would have done the molten copper here. Or I would have done it up here. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to just run this copper mine dry and make a copper ore depot. Mining productivity 148. Yeah, make a copper ore depot. Because the throughput is fine. And because it's going into tanks as well, it's easier to do a bit of a buffer here with these tanks. But it is, oh man, it is a lot. It is a lot. This makes 137 low density structures a second. The yellow science will need 80. So this is also hugely overscaled, but again, low density structures go into rocket components, and we may want to be launching rockets from now so we probably do. So yeah, yikes, basically. Yikes. The other option, of course, is to use the LDS shuffle, which will not get you free LDS, but it will get you steel and copper in high quantities that you can then in legendary as well, so you would not need as many legendary. You could make yellow science packs legendarily if you could then also make legendary flying robot frames and processing units, which legendary processing units is okay. Legendary flying robot frames, yikes. That's quite a long production chain there. But you could do the LDS shuffle by just bringing in yeah, calcite. But this is okay. It's not too bad. Maybe, probably. So we just need to bolster copper ore production, basically. That's all we need to do. And then that will be legendary structures done, and then that'll be yellow science done. Copper ore depot. This is a 1:6 balancer. This is your generic 1:6 balancer. Before the 1:6 balancer, I halve it with a splitter, and then put that half of the belt into another 1:6 splitter, And then that means I can load one wagon with 12 legendary bulk inserters, which, as you just saw there, was very fast. I think this is another one coming in now. Oh baby! That was quick! And yeah, because of our obscene mining productivity at the moment, this is... It's only 2,900 a second. It's only 48 green belts a second. 48 green belts. 48 green belts a second does not really make any sense as far as units of measurement go. Man, that's satisfying. So it's... yeah, it's not brilliant. It does cause quite a lot of trains to go backwards and forwards, but it can do that. It's not like it can't do that. As soon as this one leaves, the next one comes in. I could make this a train limit of 2 at all times, but then you run the risk of... once it does get full, like it is now, you don't want this to be train limit of 2. So this is definitely room, there's definitely room for improvement here. But it is full now. It is full. And the yellow science is now working. And the labs are now working. So I am doing a level of laser weapon damage at 67,000 science per minute. This is a red belt here as well now, just doesn't really make any sense to have this with a science pack that doesn't spoil, but like this is obviously what happens when it's not like that. That's all the sciences. That's all the Nalvesian sciences being done at 10,000 science per minute. Except for possibly maybe purple science. Because there was a problem with stone, for the reason that I said, that this asteroid farming thing did get full. So in the short term what I've done is I've added a circuit condition here to not let in any fresh asteroids if there are more than 500 of any one individual thing. What surprised me about this is quite how high these numbers were. I didn't think that there was 500 asteroids on this belt, but I guess when you look at this, yeah, there is. So I really want to do something about this. I really want to do something about this. I'm not quite sure what it will be. I might have to run some numbers on like expected output of like a set of, if you have a set of asteroid recycling. Why does it, what? That doesn't make any sense, does it? You think it's negative, you think it's neutral on carbonic and metallic and minus on oxide? How does that make any sense? Sorry, am I stupid? Forty, 20, 20. 40% of the one that you put in and 20% of the others. Oh, this only takes 1 second. This takes 2 seconds. How have I never noticed that before now? That's literally the first time I've spotted that. That changes everything. Why have I got just as many ice ones in the system then as the other ones? Oh, I'm stupid. How have I never noticed that? Why are they not all the same speed? Oh my goodness. Alright, back to the drawing board, folks. Restart the run. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please let me know with a like or a comment. And if you want to see more broadcasts from Space Age, be sure to subscribe. Yeah, next time then, it's going to be probably just a shuttle-based episode, I suppose, because we really want to get this stuff sorted. Quillo deliveries are not really keeping up. Tried to move the sites closer to the rocket silos just to get them into space faster. Now that we know this works for sure, we can come back and double this up, as we did talk about previously. And yeah, toolbar upcycling is working for the most part. Oh, this chest is full. Probably should make this a purple chest. Alright. Yeah, thank you so much. Take care. See you next time. Bye-bye.